Hello and welcome to Super Sentence Stackers. My name's Considine and we're here together to talk and think and write sentences. We are here to really think about our writing, and my name's Mrs. Considine, and as we work together we are the Super Sentence Stackers. Okay everybody, what I'd like us to do now is talk about how we're going to work together and how you're going to get an opportunity to get some really clear help with your writing. You might notice that I'm a little bit closer, and I like being a little bit closer because it means we can really think about our words. Language and our word choices are the most important thing today, and as we choose vocabulary carefully, we're able to make more vivid pieces of writing and think very carefully about the moods we are trying to create. I'm going to give you some writing advice. I'm going to give you some tips. And the first bit of advice I have for you is actually, I'd like you to have a pencil or a pen and a piece of paper now. If you've got a pencil and a pen, it means that as I'm teaching you, you can make jottings. You can begin to gather words. You can think about ideas. Words are going to be the most important part of our work today as we gather, collect them, because then they will enable us to make really good choices as we shape up a sentence. Another thing, as the lesson moves, you'll see me really zoom into my internal thinking. You'll get a window to my mind. You will see my beautiful thinking, and I will reject words, keep words, I will tussle and tussle with them until I'm sure I've got exactly the right sort of language to be precise. You'll know when I'm doing that because I call that demonstration writing, and you'll see me write and think at the same time. You will look deep inside the writer's brain. Okay, I'm just going to outline now some of the things I need you to do. Soon, but not yet. Soon, but not now. I want you to go and watch our chosen film. I want you to take some time to do that, and you'll know where to find the film because there is a link below in the description. After you've watched the film and enjoyed the whole film, we will come back together as super sentence stackers, and you'll look at your notes and you'll be able to make choices from it. We're going to build them carefully. Today's film is Bear's Story. It's quite a sad film, but we've written writing for all sorts of films. Funny films, sad films, angry, challenging films, and everything in between. And I'm helping you every step of the way to ensure that your writing is clear, accurate, and vivid. First thing, after you've watched the film, it's really important that you choose your chunk. And in the description below, there are times allocated, but there's also a choose your chunk sheet. You can look at that if it helps you. Choose your chunk is where Mrs. Considine has looked at a film and broken it up into bite-sized chunks. These bite-sized chunks have time allocations, and it's really important today in our writing that you don't write the story for the whole film. You choose which chunk you're going to write about. So now I'm going to show you which chunk I've chosen, so you know which part is going to be my type of writing. Today, Mrs. Considine is going to choose chunk 5. Another important part of super sentence stackers, and many of you know this now, but I'm going to remind you anyway, is we have to write our name, our age, and our chunk number on our piece of paper. So I'm now going to write my name, my age, and the chunk I have chosen is number 5. This isn't a very nice part of the film. It's when the army arrives and are very horrible to Papa Bear. Oh, I'm glad I've said that. That's a little reminder that we today are going to write a third-person narrative, and our main character is Papa Bear. I'm going to write that down as well to remind me. Across the UK and beyond, we are going to include the character name Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear, and we're going to use pronouns like he, she, and they. I'm now going to think about the chunks in the writing, and I'm going to choose, in particular, some lenses and writing challenges. I'm going to choose these from the writing rainbow. I always choose 3, and many of you have got used to that. Okay, let's have a little think what I'm going to choose today. From the fantastic part of the rainbow, the 9 ideas for writing, we're going to zoom into, and some of you could jot this down, action. That's going to be one of our choices. Another choice that I'm going to make is going to be across the middle tier of the writing rainbow, and I'm going to choose something from punctuation. Oh, dear me. Somebody's so excited to talk to me, I had to just turn them off my phone. Okay, now, the third area we're going to explore now is punctuation. I've just included that. And my third area is repetition for effect. I'm now going to zoom in more closely and make a jotting exactly around that. So, action. That's our first reason to write. Then our second area is going to be repetition for effect. Repetition for effect. And then our third area is going to be punctuation. I'm going to make a little note of that, and you can too. Right. I know I'm writing chunk 5. I'm going to really think about that part of the film. I also, here on my little note sheet, I'm going to make a little drawing to remind myself I'm trying to create something with negative intent. It's not very nice, and I've got to think about the language I choose. In chunk 5, the army come to actually hurt some of the animals and take them to the circus. This is that part of the film. How we find out about it, though, is really interesting. We find out about it because now, as time has moved on, we get this part of the film is a flashback. So I'm going to write that down here, flashback. We find out about the flashback because Papa Bear has a mechanical toy. He's made this himself. It's almost like a machine. There's a grown-up word for this mechanical machine. It is a diorama, so I'm going to write that down on my notes. This is this moment when we look back in his life. So I'm also going to write down look back. All of these ideas might help me as I write. Because I'm now going to zoom into action, I think it'd be really good to gather and start a sentence with some ing action verbs. And what I want to capture is the movement of this toy. So I'm going to have a zoom in now on my thesaurus thinking and gather action words to show moving. I'm going to write down moving first of all, so that we've got an idea to start with. And then I'm going to think about other words in this synonym family. Moving, twisting, spiralling. I think it's 2 L's, but I'm going to be a brave speller and check that in a moment. Spiralling and spinning. There's some good ideas. I actually really like twisting. I think I'm going to start my sentence with twisting. So now on my writing side, where I'm writing my sentences, I'm going to start twisting. It'd be good now if I could group more actions together. You know, I'm going to give myself a challenge. Could I group 4 action words to really inject some movement into this toy? I might be able to do it in almost little pairs, twisting and moving. It's okay. I hope you can see my thinking here. I'm trying to make it visible. Twisting and turning. Oh, that sounds good. Twisting and turning. I'm going to put a comma in there. I'm going to think about spiralling and spinning. Oh, they're almost like alliterative pairs with the same sound. Rewinding. Oh, that's a good word. Rewinding and this idea now that I want to include, we get to see Papa Bear's life in the past, rewinding and replaying. Oh, that's clever. Rewinding and replaying. We get the same prefixes there, and they become a little pair. Twisting and turning, rewinding and replaying. The toy, we've got some good words here. The mechanical machine, the mechanical diorama, very grown up, but very accurate and precise. The mechanical diorama went back in time. Yes, goes back in time. Goes, it's more live movement. Goes back in time when Papa Bear's life, Papa Bear, oh dear Mrs. C, Papa's bear. Now, I'm not going to put the apostrophe there because that's a little bit clumsy. Right, so I'm going to make a little edit. Goes back in time when Papa Bear's, because it belongs to Papa Bear, and that's his whole name, Papa Bear. I want the reader to see that as a unit, so I've made a decision to put the belonging to apostrophe there. Papa Bear's life changed. Full stop. I'm going to go back and reread that now. Twisting and turning, rewinding and replaying. The mechanical diorama goes back in time when Papa Bear's life changed. I'm trying to zoom in now for the reader. This is the high drama negative moment. But what is really interesting that I don't want to lose is the film has this quality of music. There is almost, it feels a bit like a nursery rhyme. I'm going to write down nursery rhyme on my notes. Nursery rhyme. I find it ever so tricky to spell rhyme, but I'm beginning to get used to it. Nursery rhyme. It's a little bit haunting. It's a little bit hollow. I'm going to write that word down. And it's almost like the film score is telling us that the army is coming nearer. And as we look at the visuals, we can see they are carrying batons. So I'm going to write that down. Papa Bear's life changed. What I'm going to do now is I am going to move on to introducing that. I've just noticed here, because Papa Bear is his name and I want the writer to see it as a unit, and I was so worrying about that apostrophe, I'm going to make sure the reader knows Papa and Bear because it is his name. I'm going to include a capital letter. It's always important to reread your work because we always make mistakes, but good writers go back and check. Right, I'm now going to introduce the idea of the sounds and the army coming. I'm going to start with the determiner the. I've got some good ideas down here. Haunting, hollow. I like hollow. The hollow, tinny, you know, it's just not got a rich quality. The hollow, tinny notes signalled that the army was coming, that the army was coming. I'm going to have a go now, I haven't done it yet as the writer, to try and include some repetition for effect. I want you to look how I have a go at doing this. I'm going to do a really short sentence for impact, very effective, subject, verb. I'm going to talk about the army now and what they're doing. They, and just a verb here about their action. I'm going to go to my shadeometer and gather some thinking here to get my ideas going. I'm going to write down the obvious first, marched. But I just want to check out in this synonym family, is this the word that I want to use? They marched, they pounded, that's good. They traipsed. They traipsed. Oh, that's quite tricky to spell. I think I might have made a mistake there. I'm going to go back and do that again and think about it. Traipsed. That's better. And then stomped. They're all good, actually. Pounded is particularly good. Stomped. Let me go back to my writing. Oh, I think I'm hello. I've just put the sound back on there so you can hear all of my thinking and the language choices. Okay, precious pen pushers, let's go back to the writing. I was building some repetition for effect, so I'm just going to do a recap on that. They marched closer, they marched closer and closer. I'm really proud of that. And in your writing today, I want you to have a go at doing that. A really short sentence, repeating it, adding some extra information with a comparative, and then adding a little bit more again. They marched closer and closer. Maybe I need even more there. I want to say that they were carrying batons and they wielded. That's a very grown-up word. Wielded means carrying, but it also comes preloaded with negative intent. And they wielded batons. Okay, what I'm going to do now is move into ellipsis. Oh, before I move on, I'm just going to check the spelling of wielded. I'm going to have a little look at that. Wielded. Wielded, every time there is an E or an I, you need to have a little look at it. So, wielded. I might need to look at my dictionary. Wielded batons. I, E, oh yes, that's better. They marched closer and closer and they wielded batons. I want to really slow down now and show that the poor bear family are in trouble. And I'm going to use ellipsis. Now, ellipsis is a really interesting device. I'm going to tell you about ellipsis. Ellipsis is where a writer uses 3 dots on the line to show the reader that actually what we predict might happen is happening. It is where we can begin to, without words, leave some space in the writing, but the reader knows what has happened. Because this isn't a very nice part of the film, I'm going to use ellipsis, but this is the part where Papa Bear gets hurt. And we're able to say something without actually writing it. I'm going to now start with Papa and his family, and then I want a word that means they were hiding. So I'm going to go to my thesaurus thinking spot here, and I'm going to write down the word hid. That might be the word I choose. I'm going to gather more in the family. Coward. That's a good word. Flinched. Yes, that really captures it, actually. Trembled. I like all of those words. They do have negative intent. I think I like coward or hid. I'm going to go back to my writing. Papa Bear and his family hid. I'm going to have a go at that. Hid, but, and then I'm going to use ellipsis. And I'm going to leave that space because we know that the army is cruel here and mean and hurt the family. But I'm almost going to leave that unsaid. I'm going to go back and read my writing because spelling is so tricky. I'm going to see how it reads. It's a cruel part of the film, this, and I need to think about the language, so I'm going to have a reread. But I'm going to check if I have captured that negative atmosphere, twisting and turning, rewinding and replaying. The mechanical diorama goes back in time when Papa's Bear's life changed. The hollow, tinny notes signalled that the army was coming. They marched. They marched closer. They marched closer and closer, and they wielded batons. Papa and his family hid, but... Thank you, everybody, for listening in. And what I want you to do now for me is go and watch the film. Get comfortable. And after the film, take your jottings and your notes and challenge yourself to write 9 sentences. 9 sentences that have action loaded into it, using those ing action verbs. Have a go at repetition for effect. Start with something short and build it up and build it up. And finally, at points where you feel that the reader is with you and they can fill in the space, use ellipsis. You can get your writing into me on Twitter at Jane Considine by 12:30 British Summertime, and on Facebook at The Training Space. I read all of the work that is submitted, and I try my best to comment on as many as I can. Thank you for listening today, and thank you for watching The Writer's Brain. Good luck, everybody, and I look forward, and I mean it, really look forward to reading your work soon. Thank you, Super Sentence Stackers.